So for anyone curious, about 45% of our audience is between 26 and 35, 35% between 36 and 45, 8% is 46 or older, and 1 is younger than 18, and the rest are 18 to 25, about 12% 18 to 25. Do we have Twitter on for AMA? I don't handle that. The Twitter team and stuff handles that. I don't think we will for this one, but we'll get it for the next one. What I might start doing is I might start streaming to Twitter instead of Spaces. I feel like a lot of people expect Spaces to be like other people coming up and talking and stuff as well. Streams might be better for Twitter. What do you guys think on that? I feel like streams are usually better for Twitter. I guess the thing is then I'd have to share stuff on Discord and on OBS. How old are you? I just turned 33 like a few weeks ago. December 13th is my birthday. Just turned 33. Which is pretty sick because that means like as a career, I've been making video games for 11 years now. As a hobby side since I was like 5. But as a career since I was 22. So you're like 24 maximum. Thank you. It's because I don't grow very good facial hair. So I still have a baby face. What a year it's been. Oh, actually, I did have like some stuff from the year in recap. Maybe I should like pull that up. Hold on. Give me a sec. Let me also pull that up. We're going to post something soon here, like a year of recap of 2024 and also like milestones and stuff for 2025. We're just putting it all together because I've realized that we did a goddamn million things in 2024. And so I was like talking to the rest of the team and I was like, oh, here's my list. And they all had like 15 things to add. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. I need to put more time into it. But I might do like a light teaser of it today on the stuff that we have so far. Okay, guys. So today we're going to be sharing some stuff from Early Access Phase 3, some little fun data. We're going to be announcing the mobile client stress test date. We're also going to be showing another little teaser on it. Some of you have maybe already seen the teaser, but we just kind of made some changes and stuff to it. We'll also have a website post about the mobile client as well going up at the end of the AMA. We will also be talking about the rewards from Phase 3. We'll be talking about referral cashbacks. We'll be talking some stuff about pets that I would like to share with you guys. We're going to talk a little bit about world bosses. We're going to talk about gamified staking. We're going to be talking about Mailbox. We're going to be talking about stuff with balance, so like melee weapons, stuff like that. And I'm sure other alpha will get sprinkled in as usual, as to be expected. What is pets? Oh, I guess you're going to have to hang out and find out, eh? Also, we can do, the year in review. We'll do like a year in review light version. And then we'll do like a full post on it soon. I just wanted to make sure that we really got everything in it because my God, there is so much stuff. I also started putting together a roadmap side. Like we obviously have an internal roadmap, but one that's like more like just main cornerstone things instead of like literally mentioning every change in every system we're making. But like kind of main things. And then we want to obviously like do a graphic for that and put that up as well for you guys to all see, showing kind of path to release, all other things post release. Again, as you guys know, like we're an MMORPG, right? We've talked about this a lot, but it's a marathon once you release, right? It's not a sprint to release like a lot of types of titles. That's when, we're full steam ahead and working even harder than we are leading up to release. And so with that, we already have 2 years of content planned out on what we want to make. And so we want to share some of that with you guys right away. Wasaki, that is why we have a very strong level of anti-bot. Yes, a lot of people like to cheat on mobile, and that is a product of usually using either no anti-bot or like no anti-bot mechanics, or the anti-bot mechanics don't work on mobile, because some don't, right? And that is why you use things like AnyBrain, because they do work on mobile and they allow you catching cheaters on mobile as well. Keep in mind, there are many mobile games that are released, like Albion Online, that do a very good job dealing with bots. It's really important to not put like is this a chicken before the egg analogy? I'm not really sure. But it's really hard to not associate like, oh, this mobile game gets botted that also gets botted on PC. People just do it on mobile because they can just get a bunch of mobile devices if it's like a hardware ID thing, or hardware ID limitation. Like you got to be careful to not be like, oh, they don't do anything to deal with botting anyways, or barely anything. A lot of people cheat on mobile, therefore mobile is the problem. As opposed to just like, oh, maybe they're just not dealing with cheaters, like in a realistic way. Nix, that gets coordinated with the community leaders. Not yet. We'll announce the mobile client stuff a little bit later, just because more and more people always end up joining, and we want to announce it when there's as many people as possible, because otherwise it's going to get asked every 6 seconds after. Thank you for the answer. Yeah, of course. No worries. Why do no games do accounts binded to a social security number? Well, so like a lot of like South Korean games do this, right? I personally, as a developer, I mean, it's every developer's dream that you can do this, because wow, does it make dealing with cheaters exceptionally easy. But the truth is, a lot of people obviously don't like that, right? They don't want to have a social security number attached to a game. They may not trust the studio. They might not know how that data is being used. And it's the same with KYC, right? I think KYC is basically just a better version of actually uploading your social security, because the nice part with KYC is it's usually done through a third-party provider, so you're not actually accessing that data. But I think this is why a lot of Web3 games are also doing like KYC for withdrawing and stuff like that, right? Obviously, it's not foolproof, right? But it is beneficial. KYC is purchasable anyway. It's not worth the hassle for real players. Yeah, well, and that's kind of the same with the social security number thing with Korea, South Korea. There's been many like South Korean MMOs that I wanted to play, and even when I was already very young, I would just like buy an account for it, right? With someone's social security number added to it. So there's really like obviously ways around all this. It just makes it harder, right? And when dealing with bots and cheaters and multi-content, all that kind of stuff, there's no like one just solution fits all. It's like having as many solutions as possible, being as active as possible on it, and making sure you have like multi levels of defense. And I think this is where a lot of games go wrong, is they put in one thing, right? Like World of Warcraft is a great example. They put in like their own anti-cheat system, and then they fire all the game masters. And it's like, well, no, why not have both, right? Now, why not have 2 levels there? And we've taken it to the extreme where we literally have 3 levels, right? Having that entry level client defense with BattleEye, which is what a lot of games use as their sole anti-cheat defense, right? But then having that second level of player behavior with AnyBrain, and then a third level with 24/7 game masters as well. I think in a lot of games, not as big of a deal, but I think in Web3, you need to take it incredibly seriously, because the more cheaters there are, the more rewards get diluted and go to cheaters. And the more rewards get diluted, the more that true play, or the lower the rewards that true players get, right? And so I think there's like, and I say 3 levels, there's even 4 levels, right? Game mechanics are another big thing, right? How can you make game mechanics that make it harder to simply cheat it, right? Like the easiest example is when a game does like make an account and get part of the airdrop, right? And it's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with like, sign up and get, this certain thing that you have to get to like level 24 to unlock. I think that's very different. I think, but like games aren't, like most studios aren't that dumb. When they do a thing where it's like sign up and get part of this airdrop, they're just trying to farm as many accounts as possible. And someone can make like 100,000 accounts with a bot in a week, right? It's very simple to do. And so I think it also comes down to the game design level, right? I think it's as many levels as possible. And even with everything, it's still a constant cat and mouse game. But if you can go from like 90% of quote unquote players being cheaters, which we've seen Web3 games that literally have this, right? Where 90% of of the total accounts are actually just cheaters and multi accounts. If you can take that down from 90% to like 1%, that's it has way less impact on the ecosystem and the game economy and the player base than if it's at 90%, right? And so it's just about doing as many things as possible to reduce that as far as possible. The truth is, though, is it's expensive, right? It's very expensive to deal with. Like these softwares and these, client defenses and player behavior analysis for catching cheaters and having full-time staff 24/7 checking cheaters. These are all this is a lot of things that cost a lot of money. And that's why a lot of studios just don't do it, right? That's why we saw Blizzard move to just an anti-cheat, which is a pretty bad anti-cheat, by the way, compared to having full-time GMs handling cheaters, right? And that's why we see a lot of studios move away from it. But there's also some that just don't do anything, right? And it is because in a way it can benefit you in some ways. Like if you're trying to build hype, like 1 million players or whatever, having 900,000 of those being multi-accounts and botters allows you to go from 100,000 players to 1 million, right? But the long-term payoff is terrible and very damaging. You should do a retina recognition security bridge for any cheat. Yeah, that's what we're actually thinking. And you have to send in a blood sample. Even down to 10% makes a huge difference for the economy. Well, yeah, if let's say a traditional Web3 game has 90% cheaters or multi-accounts or whatever we want to say, right? Reducing 90 to 10%, this is like a 9x lower impact, right? Like a 10% cheater / multi-accounts actually has very small amount of damage to a game's economy. But when you have 90%, right? When 9 out of 10 players are abusing the game, it basically makes it so that 10% just can never compete, right? They're forced into it, right? Which creates a culture of where honest players feel pressured into cheating. And then you maybe, let's say you went from 80% cheaters, 20% players, and now of that 20%, half of them are feel pressured into doing it to keep up. And now you have honest players that didn't want to cheat that now are oh, I have to cheat to keep up, right? And for a lot of players, that can convert them from someone who doesn't want to cheat to someone who wants to cheat. That was very much me when I played Tibia back in when I was young, grade 7, 8. Everyone bought it, right? They implemented Battle Eye and they started taking it very serious, but everyone cheated. And you basically were oh, I'm an idiot if I'm not, because then I can't even play with my friends, right? I fall too far behind, blah, blah, blah. So you actually get pressured into it, right? Sounds glitching. Maybe the mic was too far away. Your connection is bad? Huh. Is it still bad? Is it better now? Okay, one sec. Oh, I have no connection. One sec. Is that better? Okay, yeah, my voice connection through Discord was went down to 1 bar. So I think it was just a connection thing. Also, whoever said Canadian internet, okay? I need to know where you're from, because the internet where I live is actually remarkably good compared to so many parts of the US. Shots fired. Listen, okay? There's definitely some provinces in Canada, though, that I'm sure the internet is awful. We definitely have good infrastructure here, but yeah. Canadian internet is fire. Yeah, a lot of parts of Canada, our internet here is impossibly good. What we pay for what we get is insane. And just the reliability is, I guess, the bigger thing. I know in a lot of places the internet is faster or cheaper or whatever, but the reliability is awful. I mean, LA is a good example, right? LA always kind of has internet issues, or a lot of parts of LA, not everywhere, obviously, and not every provider, but you know what I mean. But I know so many people that stream or play games or whatever from LA, and they're always complaining about it just randomly cutting out and dropping and stuff like that, where, yeah, none of it internet must be slow. Yeah, I imagine that is pretty slow. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of parts of Canada. I'm sure the internet is awful. Noted can trigger United trolling about Canadian internet. True. Listen, I'll complain about the bad parts of Canada, but I'll also give credit where it's due. I used to live on the BCIT campus and had the internet in my dreams. Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, any like technical university, I feel like their internet would be insane. I remember my first year at university, I went to University of Vancouver Island, and that was in Nanaimo. And I absolutely hated it. Because it rained all the time. It was always raining. But the internet on I lived in dorms for my first term, and the internet was so bad. It was because I'm pretty convinced 90% of students were always torrenting shit and just leaving the seeds up and never closing them. So the internet was just awful. I remember playing games, and every second game I would just get disconnected, and it was so molding. It drove me nuts. You can imagine as someone who is a huge gamer, it was driving me up the frickin' wall. I get 1 gig for $60 a month with almost no downtime. Canada. Yeah. And are you saying Canadian dollars too? Because if anyone doesn't know, our dollar here is worth nothing. We used to be on par with the American dollar 15 years ago, and now we're worth 60% of an American dollar. Yeah, Canadian dollars. So yeah, 40 US. Didn't they film Alone on Vancouver Island? Yeah, there was a few seasons of Alone done on Vancouver Island, and they stopped doing it on Vancouver Island because it was so impossible to do it there. I think the first 2 seasons were there, and then after that they're okay, fuck this, because Vancouver Island is gorgeous, but it is and it says to how big the island is. I'm pretty sure Vancouver Island is bigger than Austria and the Netherlands and shit. But most of it is just forest and ocean and mountains, and I mean same with most of our province. We live in a medium-sized city, I'd say 150,000 people, and all around us every direction for 2 hours pretty much is just mountains and lakes and stuff like that, which is gorgeous, but it's also remarkable how good our internet is here considering. Yeah, actually I'm really curious. I'm gonna test my internet here. Yeah, I reliably get, I think obviously you pay for more, but what you reliably get is what matters in the end of the day. Everyone knows you never get what you actually pay for, but if you even get half of it, you're pretty stoked. So yeah, I get a gigabyte down, a gigabyte up. That's what I'm getting right now. I probably pay for whatever more than that, but someone asked, how do you intend to combat account sharing? I have a brother who wants to play on mobile and I on the computer. Can I be banned for account sharing if he is on one account and I'm another, but the IP is the same? Nope. So you're allowed to play in a household with multiple family members as long as you guys aren't playing the same account. We obviously wouldn't do that by IP because, if someone goes to a coffee shop and another person goes to the same coffee shop at another time, we're not obviously going to ban them. Same with just living in a household, right? It's not uncommon for roommates to play a game together or anything like that. So we never ban based on IP. Oh, more things that I just realized to add to the roadmap. Oh my God, there's so many things. Okay, let's do a light year in review. Again, I'm going to do this is a really quick version because not done yet. And we're going to do a nice post on this, but I just want to share some stuff. Because 2024 was the busiest year we've ever had as a studio, as to be expected. And also a million times bigger than we ever expected. So just sharing some of the things. And again, I'm going to miss a lot here. I'm just going through a quick short list for now, just for you guys here. Okay, so starting in January, Raven Dawn's released only on North America, the North American region, and self-published. In February, the Tavern Light Games team grew from 30 to 50 full-time staff. In May of 2024, we dropped the new RavenQuest website. We also announced the Monk Genesis NFT free collection. June, Tavern Light Games grows from 50 to 60 full-time. We announced our partnership with Immutable. The Discord grew to 20,000 adventures back in June. We announced our partnership with U2s. That reminds me, one more thing. Yes, there we go. We announced our partnership with U2s. In August, we released Raven Dawn's first expansion, Horizons Call, which of course, all of that content you guys have already been enjoying and playing in RavenQuest as well. In August, the Tavern Light Games team grew to 70 full time. So we essentially over doubled the size of the studio in 2024. In August, we also burned 60% of our total land supply. In September, this was the end of August, but I say September because it was like the last day of August. RavenQuest's first early access test phase released. And then test phase 2 that was in October. Hold on, I have that date wrong. September, land sale sells out within seconds of the public round. October, in-game Halloween event, RavenQuest test phase 2. RavenQuest wins adventure game of the year. We did our first creator and community tournament, peaking at 9K concurrent viewers. November, the regional channel system stress test. In December, and by the way, I might have these dates a little bit wrong. Apologies. We announced our partnership with Superverse. Discord grew to 45,000 adventurers. And now we're at like 47,000. The regional channel system released, test phase 3 released, early access test phase 3. LDO Trades lists RavenQuest as top 5 gaming coins set to explode in 2025. Our Twitter reached 60,000 followers. I think now we're like 66,000. I think back in May we were at like 16,000, and it's like 4x'd in size. And we had our Christmas event. We were the most watched Web3 game on Twitch without sponsored creators. Even including games with sponsored creators, we were still the most watched Web3 game. And then our most recent land sale, again, selling out within seconds of the public round. Regional channels on Discord and Raven Guardian selection phase when? Yeah, the Raven Guardian stuff we're going to be cooking up next week here. When you say regional channels on Discord, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like different language channels? Because if so, we already do have that. Imagine 100 accounts access from same IP during a community meetup. Yeah, they all get banned. Oh yes, we also did like the Hot Wings stream, Hot Ones stream. Yeah, it's been again, I'm missing like a million things, but are there any plans for a graphics engine update for RavenQuest in the upcoming roadmap? Are we considering moving away from pixel art? So just a little bit of like insight. This is like the art for an MMORPG. The amount of assets you need, the amount of biomes, the amount of different things you need is gigantic compared to most games. This is not something where you like just change to a new art style, like going to like 3D art. Pixel art is something that, one, we're very passionate about and we love. Some of the biggest games in the world are pixel art in modern day world. And still releasing pixel art, because pixel art does have a lot of huge advantages. One, it's very accessible. Hardware requirements are very low. It's why our mobile client can be played on such old phones. It's why really anyone can pick up RavenQuest and play it. And also we love pixel art. We love the look of it, the way that it feels, the way that it plays, what it allows for. And you're basically saying like, are there any plans for like a new game made in another engine? I think more and more we're going to be seeing, and we've already been seeing it in 2024, game studios moving away from just the cookie cutter Unreal Engine, gorgeous, modern graphics that only 1% of people can play. I think, and I mean that literally, like I'm like not 1% of people with gaming PCs, but like 1% of gamers around the world. It's obviously appealing because anyone making games like, oh, I want to make something with the highest end graphics of all time. It's going to be so beautiful and stuff. But what this does, it means you make way less content because there's way more work to just like make a creature, for example. You make way less content. It's way less accessible. And you're also now competing with everyone else who wants to make the most beautiful Unreal Engine 5 game, right? And it's the truth is it's very easy now because there's so many stock assets. Like the amount of times that I've seen like a quote unquote like trailer and it's like the exact same stock assets and stock code that everyone get on Unreal Engine in a week. And they're like, here's a trailer for our upcoming game that is coming. And you're like, and I look at it, I'm like, oh, this is all stock stuff. A university student could make this as like a class project over a term. And you're basically saying that you're going to be releasing this game. Like this game hasn't even been touched yet. Like this is just like a out of the box thing. And it's been very good for a lot of teams to do, honestly, just kind of scam, right? Not literally scam, but unintentionally scamming. So they make these things in Unreal Engine with stock assets and stock everything. And it looks beautiful because it's very easy to make something look beautiful now. And and people see it and they're like, wow, that looks great. But I think people are starting to wake up to it, right? And they're starting to understand. Like the amount of even people that like look to me for advice on kind of investments and things that they're looking at. And they're like, hey, this game looks really cool. Can I send you like the video of it or whatever? And I watch it within 2 minutes. I'm like, this is all just stock Unreal stuff. Like probably one guy made this in a few weeks. What's there to invest into? What do you mean? Like, this is just like you can hire someone on Fiverr to make this for you in a month with Unreal. But I think people are waking up to it and understand that that is a thing now and how easy it is to do. And, it's also a big reason why we're seeing a lot of these games go into like alpha states and they're impossibly unoptimized because they don't actually know how to make a game. They're just using all this stock stuff, slamming it together and making a big Frankenstein. And it looks great, but it doesn't play great, right? It feels awful. Everything desyncs, nothing fits well, not optimized, stuff like that. That's also why we're seeing like games that look amazing and they even maybe feel good, but you need like a $5,000 computer to run it. And it's like, is that really like, can you be as big? Like the reason why some of these AAA games look incredible and play incredible, blah, blah, blah. The reason why those ones can be as big as they are is because even though the game looks incredible, it's so well optimized that you don't need a top 1% computer. You can play with like a top 10%. And you can't be a mass market game when only people with a $5,000 computer can run it. Right. And when I say mass market, I don't mean like the next Fortnite. I just mean like getting more than 1,000 players, Well, you need Wi-Fi connection on mobile. I mean, like any mobile game, keep in mind, this is like a live game. It's not like a UI auto battler game or something like that. Obviously like Raven Idle, for example, will use very little data because it's not pushing like a ton of information. Obviously playing a game like RuneScape or Albion or RavenQuest on your mobile device is going to use more data. You won't need Wi-Fi, but it all depends on like your data plan. If you have like unlimited data, yeah, go crazy. But if you're like, oh, I have like very little data, just enough for like basic stuff, then yeah, you might not want to be playing RavenQuest for 12 hours a day on your phone. But you won't need Wi-Fi. If that's like your question. Just want to see because mobile games require Wi-Fi connection to play. I play a lot of mobile games without needing Wi-Fi. There might be some that like force it, or do you mean like not literally need, but like without it, you're using a lot of data? Maybe that's what you mean. A little better movement mechanics would be great though. Do you mind like sharing what you mean by that? Because yeah, I'm super curious. Will we ever get to see the Phase 3 gold leaderboard, or will it remain hidden? Yeah, we'll definitely post it when we post the Phase 3 airdrop as well. We'll post it with it. Again, the only reason that we removed the leaderboard is because a lot of people were opening it and they were like, oh, I need to be on the leaderboard. I'm not going to partake or whatever. It was just causing a lot of confusion. So we just hit it. But I'll post that when we do the Phase 3 rewards, just so everyone can see. Because I know for you guys, it's like curiosity, right? So I definitely, and there's no reason that you guys can't like see it, obviously. It's just because it was just causing a lot of confusion. So yeah, we'll definitely post it. Can we use controller in the PC game? Yeah, there's a lot of people that have done controller mapping for it, as well as like Steam Deck, stuff like that. Lots of people play it on Steam Deck. We don't have native support for Steam Deck. However, it takes like 5 minutes to set up support for it. There's like lots of like YouTube guides out there on doing it. We'll probably do like an official guide as well. Any news on rewards from stress tests on regional channels? Yeah, so we will be doing. Let me just open this up. One sec. Hold on. I have the list here because I've been preparing it with the team. Again, we actually hold on. There we go. So again, we took a short Christmas break. I will say most of the team was working during Christmas break. Even the few that didn't do much, they came back and they were like, oh my God, I miss this so much. We love what we do. We love making games. We especially love making MMORPGs. So for many of us, it was like a test of will to not work as much as we would like to. But a lot of us leads, for example, were very busy during the holidays, but it was good. It was a good opportunity for us to catch up on a lot of stuff that we had to do and prepare for the year ahead. But we knew that we needed the team, anyone who needed it off, especially, we're like, we need them to have a chance to rest. It's going to be such a busy year ahead, and it's been such a busy year. They needed some time off. And again, that's very hard for our team to do, because I think a big reason that in a time where a lot of games have really struggled and a lot of studios have closed their doors and shut down, we've over doubled in size in a year where 20% of game developers got laid off. And I think there's a big reason for that. I think it's because we are incredibly passionate about what we do and work very hard because we love it. So with that, taking a Christmas time off, and to be clear, like a lot of the studios that we talked to that we're doing stuff with, like game studios and blockchain related and all that kind of stuff, most of them are off until next week. But we were already back. So with that though, we wanted to make sure that we did all of it together: the phase 3 airdrop rewards, the landowner pool rewards, the guild war rewards. Referral gold will be dropped obviously before the phase 3 airdrop rewards. And also the referral cashback. All of these things, it's very important that we drop it correctly, right? And that it's goes through multiple levels of audit to make sure all the numbers are correct and all that kind of stuff. And we don't want to try to rush that in right before Christmas break. We had enough stuff to work on before the break. And ultimately, of course, all of these rewards don't really matter until TG anyways, but we want to get them into your guys' accounts because it's just nice to have that locked in and know what you guys got. So we'll be working on that next week. We hope to get it done for end of next week. And get all of those rewards dropped. Oh, and that also, hold on. I forgot to add a note of it, but also that includes the stress test rewards as well. So from the regional channel stress test, those rewards will also get shared and dropped. We already have a list of the people that qualified, and we already went through all the bugs and sorted them by who was the first to report them and blah, blah, blah. And those will also get dropped. Sorry, my throat is like randomly. I've been in a lot of calls last few days, and I think my throat's just getting a bit sore. So he's a workaholic. Yeah, it's definitely something I do battle with sometimes. In the sense of like, I love my work, but I also have a fiance. I also have 2 dogs who like my attention, family, friends, and something that I always kind of work to try and balance as best as possible. But I'm definitely always leaning on the side. But the truth is, like, it's a huge blessing to be able to really love your work. And I'm fortunate that like I've had jobs before this. Obviously I worked in finance before getting into game development, and I was the opposite of a workaholic in that. I literally was like the first punch in, punch out, just get my stuff done. Because I didn't enjoy it. Right. And I think it's a huge blessing when you do really enjoy your work. I think a lot of people, there's a lot of people that are workaholics, but don't actually enjoy their work. And I think for a lot of that, it's like an escape, if anything, where I'm very blessed that it's not for me. But I do very much love what we do. I mean, we make video games. We make MMORPGs, which is my favorite genre since I was a kid. We're very blessed. Oh, yes. Also, Dude NFT is doing a restream. He has almost 100 viewers over there doing a restream in Portuguese. Definitely go tune into that if I'm talking too quick and your Portuguese native language. Finally, a team that gives a damn about their community and what they're producing. I really appreciate that. Again, I do these AMAs partially because like I think it's super important to keep you guys constantly in the loop, share all the things we're working on. As you guys see, like we have like an AMA every week, sometimes even more frequently. And I always have new stuff to share. And I hope that's a testament of how much stuff we're doing. But also like, these are for me as well, right? It gives me an opportunity to hear your guys' feedback, to touch base with you guys, hear what you guys want more of, less of, stuff like that. It's super important, right? And the build in public thing, I think there's like levels of it. Some people, their idea of build in public is like that they post about the things they're doing and that's kind of it. And then there's some people who take a lot of feedback from the community. And I think we very much lean on that side and really want to involve you guys in the building process. We'll talk about the mobile stress test soon. I'm saving that though. I know that's what you guys are here for. You can enjoy your work and hate your job. The job consists of commute, people you work with, the environment you work in, but you can stay somewhere because you love the work. That's so true, Zoe. That's absolutely true. No, and I would say I had actually the inverse of that with my finance job. I really enjoyed the people I worked with. One of my closest friends still to this day. I still play football with him and stuff. I met him through that job. And we were very close, and I had other friends there as well. I really enjoyed the people I worked with. I didn't like the environment though. It was literally like the show The Office. Like it was Yeah. So I like an environment where people are like, one, passionate, obviously. I think that's everyone would enjoy that. But also I like an environment where I like an environment that's the opposite, I guess, of like the classic office environment where it's like everyone's just trying to do the bare minimum, get through the day, and get their 1.3% inflation raise each year. You know, I like an environment where people are pushing and want to do cool stuff. We love your dedication, but don't forget the release date. Don't worry, man. My AMAs have no impact on the release. The team is always hard at work. Thankfully, we are a very big studio, right? So it's not like there's 3 of us making the game and every minute I'm in here, I'm not working on stuff. The team is always hard at work. I think Trump's entry will influence RavenQuest in some way. I mean, us directly, unless he endorses us as Adventure Game of the Year. But I mean, obviously, it'll likely have a very big impact on crypto in general. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's like really, I mean, you never know with politics, right? Many times people will say stuff, but and don't really follow through with it. But I think there's no doubt that it'll have a positive impact on crypto. Get Elon to play RavenQuest like he does Diablo. He's probably already playing. Trump will make Canada the 51st state. I guarantee you that will never happen. Canada is a little too stubborn for that. I would say it is 10 times more likely that Canada becomes part of the EU than ever becoming part of America. If not more than that, if not 20 times more likely. I could definitely see a reality where we become part of the European Union. But never, but definitely not an American state. Let's hand over Quebec to the US. Yeah, no, that I'm okay with. I'm on board with that. We need a poly market on EU or US or Canada. I mean, I would still say it's like 99%, or I would say it's 90% chance that we wouldn't become an EU country. But I would say if it's between those two, it's 10 times more likely. I would say it's a 0.1% chance we ever become an American state. But I would say it's probably a 10% chance that we could become an EU country one day. Canada, America's hat. It's very true. It is very true. Again, like I've said it before, but their politics debatably impact our country more than our politics do. Canada and Sweden has a lot of similarities. It absolutely does. Canada and Sweden and like Norway, we're all very similar countries. In the sense of like, yeah, just kind of everything, like the way the countries run, stuff like that. Obviously the climate and stuff as well, but just in terms of, yeah, you're a future citizen of the US. You cannot possibly imagine amount of immigrants coming to Canada talking about money. I would buy all possible shares of airlines connecting Europe with Canada. I will never touch an American or a Canadian airline. They are absolute. It's so funny hearing Americans complain about the airlines, and anytime you're a Canadian and you're trying to fly anywhere, you always try and get an American airline because they are infinitely better. Even their like terrible ones are just infinitely better. Our airlines, our like main Canadian airline is ranked one of the worst in the world. In the world. This is including countries that barely have an aviation friggin' program, and they have better regarded airlines. Like we literally have like our main Canadian airline is ranked one of the lowest in the world. It is awful. Yeah, that's true, Vitronics. But yeah, we do have a lot of immigration in Canada. Definitely a lot of, and that's a big part of why I think our prime minister the party leading the country will be different in the next election. Because that's been like a sore spot here in Canada for a lot of people. I don't want to hear about Canada talk. I want to hear about RavenQuest. Yeah, that's totally fair. Let's get back onto RavenQuest. What is it with all of these planes crashing? So we have a lot of flights coming up, and so that's been something that I've been like, it's like so annoying to see. The reality is, even with how many issues there were in like the last few days, there are like what, 1 million flights a day or some shit. How many flights are there a day in the world? There's what, like, I might be wrong. Okay, there's 100,000. Oh no, wait. There is average of 36,000 flights a week or 36 million flights a week. That seems even too high, but there's a fuck ton of flights. Things are going to go wrong, right? But the reality is the chance is so impossibly goddamn low. My mom is pretty scared of flying. Even though she's flown a lot all her life. She's always been a huge traveler, but she's always been scared of flying. So I've had this conversation many times. Only airline that has a direct flight from Brazil to Canada, I guess. Yeah, we flying to Sao Paulo. We go over Montreal and Toronto both have direct flights, I believe, to Brazil. Okay, let's go back. Classic ADHD. Yes, that is very much it. Okay, so a couple quick rapid fire things. One, referral cashbacks are now open. So if you have a referral balance and you are looking to get it withdrawn, we have a type form. I believe it's on the website. If not, I will get that posted. Maybe someone can let me know if that is on the website already. If not, we'll get it posted in the announcements so that you guys can fill out that form. But it's a super simple process. You just fill out the form where you want, what wallet you want, and then a staff member will just open a ticket to verify the wallet. We do that just to double check because we don't want anyone to put the wrong wallet in there or something, or they misunderstand something and then boom, that money is just gone. And so we do verify it a second time. That's really just for your guys' best interest. Obviously, we could put like a disclaimer saying if you put it in wrong or whatever, then you're screwed. But we like to always be, safe on that side. I don't think there is the form on the website, so we will get that posted. Thank you, Wilzera. Appreciate that. I will post that in the announcements as well. I'll make a note to post that in the announcement because we're going to be putting up an announcement here in when this AMA is done for a bunch of stuff. So because any doofus can drive a car, pilots are strictly selected and trained. Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it too. Talk about airlines. Okay, let's get back to RavenQuest. Talks about airlines again. A Niter classic. True. You ever hype? Congratulations, a great game. None captures my attention as much as Raven Dawn and RavenQuest. Sorry if I sound repetitive, but it's because the community, I need to really keep the hype going. Listen, you can be always repetitive, okay? I don't mind it at all. I promise. I don't get frustrated by it or anything like that. I love it. Yeah. There's some alpha we'll drop, some alpha we won't drop. I already filled out the form. I thought it was live already. That's totally fine. If you already filled out the form, no problem, guys. Just I wanted to share it with everybody because a bunch of people have been asking us and like, oh, is it open? Blah, blah, blah. Don't worry. If you already filled it out, you're good to go. But I want to also announce it so that everybody also knows to go fill out the form. Also, again, guys, on the referral cashback, it's not like an instant thing. We're not going to open a ticket within like an hour of getting it. We have to verify stuff on that side. We have multiple people that are involved to make sure that the information is correct, all that kind of stuff. So it sometimes takes a minute. Yeah. Quick Nighter, pretend you're going to leak something so I can stop you and make them rage. Well, I was going to leak something and you saying that stopped me. So now the rage can begin. Stop. Other thing too, a lot of people were requesting add a mailbox for sending things from peer to peer. I'm excited to say that we are adding a mailbox. Just the asset, no support for it. So you won't actually be able to send things peer to peer, but there will be a mailbox in town for you to froth over. No, I'm kidding. We are adding a mailing system into the game. That is something that many people have been requesting, and yeah, so we're going to be adding that as well. Oh, actually, I have some big alpha to drop on quest value. Ooh, that's true. I better not forget that. I just bolded it. Let's drop a quick hype graphic. We're going to put this in the announcement as well, but let's share with you guys first. Give you guys the first look as always. Just some fun phase 3. Numbers. These are always these are quick for us to whip together and it's always fun. Yeah, so a few things. Most creatures killed: hobgoblins 501,000, brown bears 477,000, rat scavengers 418,000. Most deaths in a region: Zephyr Vale 11,618, RavenQuest 9,300. To be clear, RavenQuest is a region more than just the the city itself. So this would be like the corresponding regions around it. Gilead Island, 5,300 players killed in open world PvP. This is unique players. 19,400 unique players died in open world PvP, and the most used archetype was archery. Only 19K unique, but that is true. We do got to pump those numbers up. Keep in mind that PvP does get unlocked like later, and it becomes much bigger prevalence later, especially as more trade packs start getting run, stuff like that. And test phases, we don't really do a huge focus on PvP, but and this doesn't include like rifts and guild wars and all that kind of stuff. But oh yeah, I wanted to share a little bit of alpha on world bosses too. Let me make a note of that too, so I don't forget. Okay, on to a balance thing. So obviously, we are making tons of balance changes for release. The team is hard at work on that, preparing what those look like. We have insane amounts of data from phase 3, and we have lots of balance changes that are going to be made. We'll be sharing all of those together. But one thing that was a very common issue is simply range weapons versus melee weapons, right? In PvP. In PvE, melee weapons definitely have a strong, clear role. But in PvP, there was, it's definitely tough. There's a few reasons for this, primarily with using a bow with certain passives and stuff like that are going to be addressed. Again, I'm just sharing one thing here with you guys. The balance notes are going to be very large, and there's a lot of data going into them. But in terms of, but one thing I want to mention is one thing that a lot of melee players had a hard time with, especially in PvP, was like keeping up with range users, especially bow users. And there's multiple elements of this, but one element is, for anyone who doesn't know, melee weapons actually apply a 20% slow when you hit a target. And the intention of that is to allow you to basically, once you've gap closed, to better stay on top of the target, making it easier to continue and consecutively stay in range and continue to hit them. We get an issue though with how like the tick system or whatever, there's a way better technical way of saying this. Anyone who's a game developer knows what I'm referring to. But essentially there was an issue with the tick system where this 2-second slow many times was becoming a second or even less. And so what was happening is the slow was falling off before the next swing. And basically it really wasn't doing much. So it's providing like a very short-term micro slow and really not doing its purpose. And so because of that, we have fixed that and also slightly increased the duration of the slow. Again, it is a minor slow, but it does allow, it's a mechanic to allow melee players to better stay on top of range players. And so once they've closed that gap, whether with an ability, a stun, etc. And so that is a big change that you guys will see a lot of benefit from as melee users. I can say just from in-house testing, like this is stuff that it definitely makes that situation feel much better. Where range players still have very much like the pros and cons of being ranged, but now not just like almost all cons for melee players. So that is a big thing as well. And again, there are lots of balances coming in. But that was a very key one for all of you melee players out there. Can we make melees to follow the target instead of requiring them to come close up? Yeah. So we considered making like an auto follow. So when you melee someone, it auto follows. The downside of that is it makes like botting way, way, way easier. Because you're like auto moving now. But with how many levels of defense we're doing, like it'll be very easy to catch this. And so that does become a little bit more interesting, but you can understand like the reason why that becomes so interesting or so easy is you can essentially just do an auto clicker on the battle list then, right? New creature pops up in the battle list. It just keeps clicking that spot and it automatically runs to them. And then it runs to like the next creature, next creature, next creature. And so it makes for like the easiest automation. But I do agree that it can be very nice. But yeah. So I'm just going to make a couple notes here as well. Some community input. I always like to make notes during these AMAs. That's when I go quiet. Wimps. Igor, we have our own in-house game engine, which early on we loved. Now is an absolute, or more and more becomes a nightmare. It makes a lot of easy things a lot harder. Yeah, Viking, definitely. That's kind of, I think, what they're referring to. And yeah. But I also agree that it does feel kind of bad as well. I think there's more interesting ways to do it with, again, like the slow side. And I think it also adds a level of skill as well. I think the issue is that right now, the level of skill to like keep on top of a target without an auto follow and stuff, it doesn't pay off, if that makes sense, right? Like a good melee player who's like very good at like understanding where the player is going to be moving to and staying on top of them and using their cooldowns in the right way. Like it's very fun to watch, but the payoff is like very, very, very small for it. And that's more the issue, right? Learn to play and predict. That's exactly it. Shadow need a buff and healing needs a nerf. Again, we have a huge amount of balances, but Shadow is definitely one of the archetypes that will be getting some nice buff treatment. Someone said more cosmetics. Hell yeah. The art team will be excited to hear that. More unique cosmetics for our character in house. You got it. You got it. Locked in. The dark Niano. How's the vesting planning going? Very good. We've come up with a few ideas that we really, really love. We'll share once we're staying call. We'll share once we're like locked in on those. We obviously don't want to share before that because people run off with information and spread incorrect information. Because that's something that we want to do, like an announcement on, graphic on, stuff like that, making it super, super clear. Sorry, just downloading the latest teaser video because I will be sharing that with you guys. Ooh, that looks nice. Oh yeah, thank you, Drew. Oh, it's not in my meeting? Oh my God. That sucks. Note taker for some reason wasn't in the meeting. And we just noticed like 10 minutes ago. All right, well, I'll join now and I'll get some notes and maybe a CM can fill in. Actually, any CMs that are here right now, I think it's Vivs, Mary, JCS, maybe Lazaro's here too. Do you guys just mind hopping in Discord, just like the CM chat, and maybe just make a really short list of the things talked about already? You can leave out like the stuff about planes and stuff like that, but just anything that I dropped. Actually, I can just quickly restate it. Actually, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I got a list here. I'm good. I might miss one thing, but I got a list here. I can just add it. Don't forget about Canadian Airlines. True. So yeah, wanted to share that on melee stuff, but also just balance stuff. The next thing, we are working on world bosses. We shared how we're working on dungeons and world bosses, or I haven't really shared too much on world bosses. We shared about the dungeon system. World bosses, just so you guys know, are very much going to be a PvP focused objective type system. So they will not be focused on the PvE, like true, like their goal is not to be like a PvE world versus the boss. The goal is really to be a PvP catalyst. So we're going back and forth. We're like, should we do like a tower based system where there's like these towers or something like that? We really like the idea of doing it with an actual world boss. And with that, that's why we have like the Aether ecosystem. That is like a true PvE versus boss system. And we also want to do raids where it's like larger scale PvE versus bosses. But when it comes to world bosses, like open world bosses, we want that to be a PvP catalyst system. We want that to be something that drives in chaos and guild competition and just player competition. But we are doing this in quite a unique way. This is something that we've put a lot of work into. How do we design the best system possible? And essentially the way that we're looking to do the system, and this very well might change in different ways, but essentially the way we're looking to do the system is, hold on, I got a few notes here so I don't miss anything. Essentially the way that we're looking to do it is there will be different world bosses that can spawn around the game world. They will spawn on all channels at once. And essentially the way it works is there will be like a notice before the world boss spawns that will be globally broadcast to the entire channel and all the game worlds. And then when the world boss spawns, it will always be a PvP environment. It'll be a PvE environment. Oh wait, actually, I don't remember what we finalized on this. Yes, no, sorry, we did finalize on, it'll be a PvE environment until the boss is dead. Once the boss dies, it'll become PvP. And there will be a short delay. There will be a 30-second delay when the boss essentially explodes and packages, okay? They won't actually be packages. They'll be something a little bit different, but we're still kind of working through like lore idea on how we want it to work. But they'll essentially, let's just say, will be packages that will disperse kind of within 100 tile radius from the boss. So not all right on the boss, but a big radius. And those packages will essentially be able to be picked up one at a time. So you'll only be able to carry one at a time. When you pick them up, they will apply a debuff, so you will be a little bit weaker. And running those packages to a trade post will have like a very big reward, whether it'll be like quest or quest in silver or something maybe a little bit more interesting, maybe possible rare cosmetics, stuff like that. And essentially you'll be able to bring those to a post. The reason why we're doing this in this way is, one, we want to make sure we have a way that it's not just like one guild can just lock down every reward from a world boss by them all dropping on the world boss. We want to make a way that little guilds and little player groups and little parties can go and fight over a few of them in different areas and run them. Additionally, we wanted to make sure that we had a way to avoid, with the debuff thing, one player being able to carry like 8 of them and then his entire guild protecting him. That kind of defeats the purpose. We want a way where guilds are very much like, it's a very big risk tolerance kind of thing, where they're like, okay, are we all going to grab a pack and try and run them together? Or are we going to have like one escort per person trying to bring one of the packs back? And it also makes like tons of micro battles. Like it'll create a bigger battle around the world boss itself, but it creates tons of micro battles as players run those packs to different posts and bring them farther and farther away. And of course, if you die carrying one, like Called Eyes, you will drop it and other players can pick it up and run it themselves. And so we really wanted to make a way that this makes for tons of micro battles, tons of guild battles as well, but really a PvP focused objective that happens around the gameplay world. Let me read some. Don't like the idea of having a boss with giant HP and all the players in the community attacking at the same time. Not really. So I think those like PvE world boss mechanics, they never really feel that great to me. I think that like, and they're really hard to design where everyone can partake and it's balanced around top players and medium play. It just doesn't work very well. That's why I think the raid style is much better. I think I think it's very fun to have like 40 people taking on a boss. As you guys know, like we have several quests, especially around level 30 and 40, that start kind of introducing that, where you want huge parties to take down these bosses. I think doing more of like a raid style approach for that is much more interesting. It allows for it to do more unique mechanics and stuff like that. And I think that's where it has a really good place. But then when I think it comes to open world bosses, I think making them kind of PvP catalyst is very interesting and a design that we are building around. But for you guys, for you PvP heads who are like, oh, we want like more reasons to open world PvP, and not rifts or guild wars, that is for you guys. Congratulations, Taylor. At what stage of development are the new archetypes? They're being programmed right now. All the assets are done. All the design is done. The abilities are essentially being implemented as we speak. Just so you guys know, even if these are like this is not, we're not planning to drop these with release. Cause they're going to require a lot of like balancing, QA, stuff like this. So this will be like a test server type thing as well. But the idea of them coming like soon after release is definitely on the menu. That's why we love our archetype system, is we can introduce new archetypes and it's not like a lost cost, because having high level archetypes still benefits you. And so, yeah, and you can always change your archetypes too. But the balance patches will be done before release. Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay. Another thing shared. The next thing I wanted to chat on, we're going to talk about pets in a sec, but the next thing I want to talk on is gamified staking. What's your guys' like opinion on this? Obviously staking mechanics are super, super common. And I think they have a lot of benefits to them, of course. Something that we find very cool though is when it's not just like a simple like UI boring kind of staking mechanic, but instead something that's like gamified. And so some routes that we were kind of going down that could be kind of cool is, for example, staking. You get like, I believe, I'm not super familiar with DeFi Kingdoms, but I think they have similar where it's like plants, but we thought this would be a really cool way to do like staking. You get like a seed, and with that, like when it matures, you get benefits from it. Not necessarily just classic staking mechanics, but maybe some of the unique benefits. Like there's like unique cosmetics you can unlock, weapon shines, stuff like that. Maybe like a ship skin, stuff like that. But the idea that it would actually be like a little bit gamified, where you're growing something or some level of that, like fermenting something like that, as opposed to just a simple system. Is that something that you guys like? What are your guys' thoughts on that? First opening. I'm just curious if this is an idea that we should continue to go down. Can we get Canadian Airlines to accept Quest? They better. Otherwise, I'll have a chat with my boy Trudeau. DeFi Kingdoms had a garden location where in-game you were staking into various pools. I think taking it a step further and growing the seed that actually visually evolves would be great. Yeah, that's definitely what we'd be looking at doing. Yeah, Zaref, I totally agree with that. AI agents are taking off at the moment. How about like an AI agent-ish Tamagotchi as a gamified staking model? Yeah, let me go back to that in a sec. I have a lot to say on AI agents. I think the idea of gamified staking could really help the value of the game integration to the coin and really create a massive value to keep investment in the game. It seems like a great idea. Nike, you gotta hold off, buddy. Okay, you gotta eat your dinner before dessert. PB Burns, I totally agree. AI agents are a gimmick to me. Hate it. Yeah, I'll chat on this because I think most people like the idea on kind of the gamified staking, and I noted down a few interesting ideas on it as well. But yeah, AI agents are, I mean, they're the current fad, right? They obviously will have a huge prevalence in the world. There's no doubt about that. They're in a very rudimentary state right now. That's just the reality of it. I think a lot of people are way overblowing it too early is the concern. I think 99% of what is popular now will not be popular a year from now. That is also the reality of it. With any new technology, 99% of the time, the front runners are not the ones that are going to be the ones that people care about in a couple years. I definitely think a lot of teams are leaning into AI agent stuff right now because they want to capture a fad and buzzwords. I think like we use AI for a lot of things in-house, and I think there's a lot of really good and strong elements of it that are very beneficial. I think a lot of people also way overblow where it's at right now, and are trying to buy into things because they think they're getting in early, but they're really getting into things early that are not going to be relevant when it actually is relevant, if that makes sense. That's how I feel about AI agents. I mean, I think the Twitter stuff is cool. I think it's fun. But yeah, that's how I feel. And also like people talk about like AI agents for like in-game characters. I think a lot of people forget, and it's kind of sad, but like in-world has been like a serious thing for like 4 years already, like back in 2020, which in-world is basically like AI NPCs. This has been like around for a very long time, and in-world is a pretty cool product. The issue with in-world is it's very expensive to run, to have all of these like, and AI agents in general. You can imagine every single player having their own AI agent in the game is very expensive to run, right? That's why games that introduce in-world AI, a lot of them had to like sell the game and then also put a sub to it, because it does, if every user has their own agent, like that does cost the team a lot of money, right? I think obviously those things are going to get more efficient and better. And I definitely see a reality in a few years, to be clear, a few years, where games are made like, I mean, you can imagine GTA where all the NPCs are agents and they create their own conflicts and you get involved in those conflicts. I think there's some very interesting elements, and that it can be done incredibly cheap. So like you can play in a game world, your own game world, for example, with like 1,000 AI agents, and that doesn't cost like, $50 a day or something. I think there's definitely a reality of that is very interesting. But it's not there yet. And that's just the reality of it. And it's definitely something that we're on top of, but it's also weird to see game studios that are like leaning so hard into it right now, as if like they're going to implement this like in the next few months, where we've done our digging into it many times, almost like we try and stay very on top of this stuff, and it's just not a reality. And I feel like a lot of them are just trying to ride the most recent trend, which will probably die out very soon. That's just the reality of it. And that's why like even Raven Idle, like we knew Telegram games were going to be a level of a trend. And obviously Telegram games for a few months before AI agents, they were the thing. In another month, it'll probably be something different. And what I think is important to look at is like, what is the foundation though that lasts, right? And when you talk about Telegram games, like that's why Raven Idle, we didn't build out as only Telegram. That's why it's web, mobile, Telegram, right? Because we knew Telegram, like while make support for Telegram, there's still a huge gaming community there. It's important to not try and chase those trends as they go live, right? And I get scared seeing a lot of studios that I feel like they're constantly chasing trends that they're forgetting to just build out their actual product, right? Because the product is the foundation and that's what will be lasting. You can implement those kind of trends with time, but first build your product, right? And yeah, it's the same as everyone putting AI in their project name without having the technical experience or experience at all. Exactly. Dude, the amount of people that put like AI in their stuff, and I have like a 30-minute meeting with them, I'm like, so you're not really using AI anywhere. Like you're really not. Or, you know, a lot of people also just conflate like AI with algorithms, stuff like, yeah, there's a lot of, or like they try to use AI for what just a basic algorithm could do for free. Yes, we will absolutely have a test on the actual token testnet as well. Is it true that every landowner will get their own Boeing 777 from the closest airport? There are rumors of that. There are rumors of that. AI dating sims go hard. Yeah, I mean that like again, there are like very now already use cases that I'm like, okay, I get it. But again, I think a lot of people are way overblowing what's possible right now. And they're trying to chase a trend for something that is not possible for a couple of years. It's like, why not make that your focus in a couple of years? And the reason why is because they want to jump on a trend and get hype around that and try and make a shit ton of money saying that they're going to have AI NPCs. And it's like, yeah, you can, but like they don't understand it well enough to know why they shouldn't yet, if that makes sense. AI because the studio fails to understand where the benchmark and outer limits for it can be. That's exactly, Domkin, you said it so well. I think a lot of people don't understand what the actual limitations are right now. And the cons and all that kind of stuff. Like, again, there's no doubt that it is going to be very prevalent for our future. There's absolutely no, and there's already great use cases of it. There's no doubt about that. Our Bandit bot is AI, right? But I think people are way overshooting what the reality is right now for it, and trying to pitch that where it's like, listen, if you're a game studio, make games and let third-party studios build out this kind of framework like InWorld. And by the way, we're not affiliated with InWorld, but I love the stuff they do. Let them build out these tools that you can then implement very easily. Don't suddenly stop taking half of your staff to make these AI agents for the game when you could just use a third-party software once it's at that point. Because like InWorld's going to be on top of that shit, right? They're going to know the limits and they're going to do it very well. Let them build out these systems and then integrate them when they're ready to go. But don't try and now build them out yourself. Build the game and then integrate these third-party systems, or build your own system once it's been shown, if you really want to. But AI at the moment is hype, trying to be early and make bans. Didn't hear anyone be hyped about agents outside of crypto. That's very true too. I think everyone in the world knows like AI agents, whatever their understanding is of it. Obviously, a lot of people don't know the difference, which is fair. It's all happening so new. But a lot of people understand that it's going to be relevant and important. But I think the significance of it is very much in like a crypto hype cycle right now. And I think there's going to come a time very soon where people are like, oh shit, this is going to be really interesting, but now's not the time. They're all going to fizzle out. And then the real ones that move the needle, which the reality is going to be much bigger companies. They're going to be the ones that obviously build the stuff that's going to be used for years, right? I mean, there'll be the odd ones sprinkled in here and there, but let me just say this. I'm not invested in anything AI agent related or any of these tokens or anything. And there's not many people more bullish on the value of AI and AI agents than me. I'm 100%. Like I understand the value and how important it's going to be and how relevant it's going to be, but I'm not buying any of these for a reason. Yeah. Hell yeah, Grishy. That's what I like to hear, buddy. But that's really not even what I'm saying. But I do appreciate it. And I know you're not really saying that's what I'm saying. Or that's not what, yeah, you know what I mean. But really I'm just saying like, I very much still believe like people or companies should have their goals. If they're obviously like, if they're like Riot, yeah, I understand that they make a show and stuff, but it's important to remember that like those new goals and things that you want to branch off into, like for example, us even talking about like Raven Idol or these other things, this shouldn't be like relocating resources from what your studio or what your company does well to do that. To chase a trend. This should be like, because of growing, you're now adding in these bigger things, right? And I think a lot of game studios do the opposite, where they just keep relocating resources from what they actually do well to try and chase these trends, you know? The AI agents and companies need to prove the worth, value, and adaptability to meet the gaming studio needs in your instance. Your goal is to make the game. Dude, that's, you perfectly put it into way less words than I used. AI agents for NPCs, immersion and roleplay would definitely go crazy. I totally agree. I mean, the idea of us just having like our workers, for example, right? All the workers being AI agents. Oh my God. Yeah, that is exactly what we would love. And that's why we've tried, like we've stayed up to date and retested like in-world AI, which is kind of the leaders on that. And it's just not there yet to be really practical and well utilized. But I promise you, the day that we feel it is, boom, we're throwing that in. And that's the beautiful part about an MMO, right? These are things that you can add later, right? Like next year, for example, we could make all the workers AI agents, right? I think that's awesome. But like, I see a lot of people that are like, oh, like make all of these things AI agents in the game. And the studio's like, yeah, let's do it. And they're like, oh, each user, this is charging like $4 a month for this user to be able to do that. And it's really not doing a great job. And, oh, this is going to be so much work to make sure it doesn't like break the game and like all these things. And they're like, oh shit, like this suddenly is not what we expected. Right. The fairy tale, the glass shatters on the fairy tale. But I can assure you that the moment, like, I think it's a great addition to MMORPGs, and I think it'll change MMORPGs and just games in general, but it's just not there yet. And when it is there, we will be one of the first to implement it. Probably take years until it's plug and play and fun. That's a big part of it too. Like actually a benefit, not just a kind of a gimmick. I would say probably if I'm looking at like AI NPCs in games where they stop being kind of like a gimmick and they're really a good part of the game and easy to implement. I mean, they're already kind of easy to implement, but like really, like not a gimmick, really core, good, whatever. I would, oh my God, I was muted in the note taker too. Okay. We're just closing the note taker. But I would say it's probably like 18 months. And then I would say it's like, that's where it's like just implementation ready. Awesome. This is going to be sick. This is going to be great for the game. It might be way less, might be more. We'll see. That's just like a shot in the dark. And I'm not like an industry expert either. So I'm sure there's people here that are more accustomed to AI that are probably like, oh no, I think it's going to be 12 months or whatever. But, I heard there isn't going to be a pre-sale of the token. Is that true? Yeah, we don't plan to do a pre-sale of the token. In the end of the day, we want to put as much value into our landowners as possible. We like the fact that they are getting the landowner pool and they're getting that share of the ecosystem. And we want to put as much value into our land as possible. Obviously, we could do a pre-sale tomorrow and sell a shit ton. Right now, we have no plans on it. Maybe that changes, but right now, we don't plan to do a pre-sale. You got it, Delamere. Another question with the blockchain part. What will be the early launch for Raven Idol testing? Is this where Raven cards, Raven packs, lands, items, cosmetics, etc. will generally interact? Or will it come in phases? It'll definitely come in phases. Our first testing of Raven Idol, which will be quite soon. I don't have a date for that yet. I'll be sharing a date today for something, as you guys know, but I don't have a date for that yet. But the first round of testing will just be like, is the game like, how can we improve the game? How can we change it? What do you guys like? What don't you like? What do you want more of? But then those features will come in. Glad to hear there's no pre-sale. It's all speculators and early investors that will dump. I've seen it over and over again. Exactly. That's exactly it. We always say like a pre-sale is future debt, right? In the sense of every token that you sell, let's say at $1, right? Just for simple numbers. Let's say you sell it at 90 cents. And the pre-sale is like 10% discount or whatever. That's $1 you've lost to raise 90 cents in the media time. If a studio needs money, I understand why they do pre-sales. If they don't need funds and they're they have a strong runway, they're financially disciplined, and they're not greedy. There's usually not a reason for it. I can understand like a pre-sale if they're like, oh, we want to do a pre-sale because I don't know, we want to raise funds for X, Y, and Z. That's like up and above and beyond. And they think that's going to like be 10% more effective, if that makes sense. I understand then, but I think that needs to be very like clearly stated. Like if we ever were to do a pre-sale, which again, right now we have no intentions of doing, we'd have like very clear why. We would be like, we're doing this because we want to do this as a catalyst or whatever. But yeah. Quest $1 confirmed. Fuck. I can't answer that, Roar. I'm sorry. Yeah, thanks, Roar. Okay, next. Okay, we got two more kind of big things. The mobile client, I'm sorry, that's going to be last. I apologize. The news posts go up at 11 too, so it will time out perfectly. I apologize. That is going to be the last topic of discussion. Oh, actually, we have one other thing too. Okay, I got something exciting to share. Something that a lot of people have been mentioning is like, they really want to see like very strong value for Quest. Obviously we've been continuing to build up the value of Quest. The biggest thing was announcing that all of our ecosystem games will all use Quest and they will all use our NFTs. That is something very important for us. We're a very quickly growing studio and we'll be growing a lot over the next 6-12 months. And with that, building out additional ecosystem games that strengthen the Quest ecosystem and continue to provide future syncs for Quest, we feel is very important. With that, a lot of people were saying like, obviously Quest has insane utility, but they also want very clear utility for specifically Quest, right? And so, of course, one thing that we want to do is we want to make Quest have a discount when using Quest versus like Fiat, for example. Right. So having Quest, you're going to get additional benefits. Also, of course, there's like staking mechanics. You know, we can have exclusive cosmetics and other very cool things for Quest, but there's never too much value you can put into your NFTs or to your token. Right. And so another thing that we've been discussing a lot and that we are quite excited to be moving forward on, anything NFT related, essentially in RavenQuest, will require Quest to obtain. So mintable packs, things like that. These will all require Quest. We also have talked about our unveiled cards. You will be able to open these cards normally as in-game cards, but you'll also be able to use Quest to open them. It'll obviously be way cheaper than buying a Raven pack, for example, because you're finding these cards by playing and by killing creatures. But being able to unveil them, we'll use Quest and that will make them instantly mintable as well. So really making sure that Quest has such a clear role in the game's economy. And so all of that will be done through Quest. Yeah. So not only exciting for those that are playing, wanting to obtain Quest and hold Quest, but also, of course, all our landowners. Your guys' Quest token is going to be significantly more in demand because it is going to be used for those core mechanics and it will be the only way to be used. I know. For anyone who understands the significance of that, I know they're going crazy. No, Drew, I left. I left because my mic was muted. It doesn't matter. I'll just make a recap myself. It's all good. Thank you though. But yeah, I know for anyone who understands the significance of that, they're going crazy. And it's something that we've been discussing a lot and trying to make a really strong plan on. And we're very excited about it. Yeah, just making sure that, again, everything we do, every step along the way is bringing more and more purpose and value to the things that you guys trust us on, right? And believe in us on. So something that I wanted to give you guys the early alpha scoop on. How will Quest be sold if I want my money in the game? Will there be a store to buy it on the website? So yeah, originally we were considering doing it where it's like Quest can be exchanged into Raven coins, which is like the premium currency for the store in game. And like at a 10% discount. We're now looking to just actually make Quest as a currency, like in the in-game client. And so instead of like having to do that conversion, you could just use it in lieu of Raven coins at a 10% discount. So a lot simpler from the user point of view. It was long since I've been this hyped about a project. I appreciate that, man. We'll continue to earn that. Hype is consistently earned. Are we able to earn the Quest token from gameplay? Yes, you are. Yes, sir. This is real alpha. Yeah, I know. I almost forgot that I wanted to share it too. I like to like when I say like, here's the main topic, which is like the mobile client. And then here are some other topics and then alpha. I like that to be like the alpha is something that's not mentioned, right? So that it's, there's a little thing there that you guys aren't expecting. I like that. So I also love the fact that, again, every week, not only can I talk about like game updates and new things and new features and all this kind of stuff, but I can also drop like alpha every week. Like these AMAs are very easy because the team works so hard and we always have stuff to share. Yeah, it makes, like if I didn't do a weekly AMA, they would have to be double the length because we have double to share. So a weekly AMA is almost like important, Would be crazy if land was also an asset that we used in future projects. It is. It is. You must have missed that part. Yeah, our land and Raven cards. We plan to have integration for them in all of our ecosystem titles. 100% our land, no matter what, it'll be used in every single ecosystem title. And Raven cards, very likely every single ecosystem title. There might be like one that it's like, it doesn't really fit here. We probably find like another benefit to it. But the land will 100% be used in every single ecosystem title. Will we see quest rewards on a weekly basis from the economy as landowners, or is this monthly, quarterly? Sorry, what are you asking like on the landowner pool? Like, is that dropped like weekly or monthly or whatever? Or what are you asking specifically there? The need to stake quest to get, oh, sorry, you said it again. How about this idea? The need to stake quest to get the token rewards from lands. Oh, so your idea is like needing to stake quest to get the rewards from lands? No, we wouldn't do that. Obviously, it's a great idea, to be clear. It's an evil and great idea. But we wouldn't do something like that. We've always been clear about how the landowner pool works. And while, yes, that would benefit us greatly, that's, kind of screwing over those that trusted us. And that's not something we'd do. But to be clear, it's a very good idea, but just not something that we would do. Yeah, and even if you're not a landowner, you will be able to obtain prime trade packs from landowners. They will be able to like sell them on the marketplace. So for example, let's say a prime trade pack gives you, I'm just using a random number. This is not the amount, but let's say it gives you 100 quest, right? Please don't start saying 100 quest per, you guys are going to, because you're the worst. But a landowner could be like, okay, I'm going to list this on the marketplace for 80 quest. And then a player without land could get that prime trade pack for 80 quest and keep the 20 as profit, basically. If the landowner's like, I don't want to run it, Fucking Lou. You are the first one to say it, so you are the problem. You are starting the mob. Also, one quest equals $1,000. Also, a few people have asked, like with engage points and legendary monks and stuff like that. I will talk about that next AMA because we have more things that we want to be adding for engage points. And we also have some very cool plans for monks as well. So we'll be sharing more about that as well soon. Just we still got more stuff to talk about. Never run trade packs. I rob you. I know we got all the vultures in here too. Okay. So one more thing that I want to chat with you guys on, something that we've been kind of working on a little bit that we think is kind of fun. And before the mobile client discussion, something we've been kind of working on is, and originally I didn't like this idea, but I will say I've opened up a lot more to it and a lot of the team's really excited about it. And there's ways that I think we can implement it in a really good way. But a lot of community members have been asking about it for forever. And it's the idea of having pets in the game that follow you. So I'm not talking about like summons, not like fighting pets, but the idea of like a pet that follows you in the game as like a companion. And originally I was opposed to it because I didn't want this. Like I felt like it would make combat a little bit tedious and PvP and stuff like that. But we realized like we can just make them walkable. So if a pet's on a tile, you can walk on that tile. So it doesn't impede your combat or PvP or anything like that if someone has a pet out. But we've been playing around with the idea of pets in the game. And because I think there's a lot of really like fun collectible elements that we really like to pets. And there's a lot of really fun stuff we can do in the art side. And so while this is not something that we'd probably like, this won't be like a focus for us right now, like dungeons, world bosses, those are going to be the focus. We think there's some really fun stuff we could do with pets. And I honestly wanted to just kind of chat with you guys a little bit today and brainstorm a little bit of ideas and hear your guys' input. Really, we'd be making this a very collectible focused system. So we'd have like very a lot of stuff around like very rare pets and common pets and lots of things like this, making pets like very unique and very special versions of them and very exclusive versions of them. And we really see it as like a fun collectible area that we can do. And with that, we would also want to give pets some small benefits. So there's some like very basic benefits that we can do, for example, like giving you more bag space, right? Or even more bank space, stuff like that. But then there's also some other interesting ideas that we can do where they can maybe increase your loot, maybe increase the fame you gain. They could maybe slightly increase your movement speed, things like that. Then there's more complex things like kind of like what BDO has with its like maids, where pets could maybe sell some loot for you. So you can like give it like 8 pieces of loot and then it goes away for 5 minutes. It goes to town, sells them, comes back and things like that. Little kind of things it can do to support you. And I would love to kind of hear if you guys have some ideas on things that you think would be nice to add, but I think it would be a really fun collectible system and just a cool companion system. And yes, definitely. Like I love the shiny inspiration from Pokemon and stuff like that. I think there's some really cool exclusive rare pets, like even like 1-of-1 versions. So like the first person to get a certain color, it's like, that's the only one ever. Like I think there's some like really cool stuff we can do there. And yeah, someone said like pets to do gathering for you. So like as you're running by a node, it could just run over and grab it quick. Like there would have to be some like limits to that, obviously. But maybe it like, yeah, or like maybe it helps you mine node. You know, there's like interesting stuff like that. Can you add walking market abilities with pets? Elias, do you mind sharing what you mean by that? I'm not sure what you mean by walking. Oh, like going to the marketplace for you? Highly collectible. Lots of players focus on collections instead of PvP or even PvE, making them tradable in some minor percentage. I totally agree. That's I think one of the things that we really love about it is I feel like this is a really cool system for those that are very collectible, heavy type people. And there is definitely a big demographic of players that like that. And I think there's a really, and this wouldn't be a lot of work for us to implement either. And yeah, I think something, and it'll also be very fun for us to work on, right? Our team loves making these kind of little companions, stuff like that. I think there's some really cool stuff we can do. Pets that can find rare treasure when walking. That's really cool. Like pet detects a shovel area for a treasure. Like, so as you're walking, it maybe like detects like a spot that you could interact with to dig up treasure. I think that's really cool. Would the pets be NFTs? They would, yes. Yeah, pets are not like a unique thing. People keep mentioning a bunch of different games. Obviously, like lots of games have had pets. I think we'd, of course, try and find a unique spin on it. But I think the idea of pets is like, it's one of the things that doesn't need to be a super unique idea. It's more for like the collectible side, right? That's a cool idea too, Roar. So I'm just reading through all of the, like a pet that you could open the marketplace anywhere. We actually have that with the monks. You're able to summon a monk that you can open like marketplace and I think bank and potions. So that already we have with monks. Well, yeah, sorry. When we say NFTs, we're not even necessarily saying selling monks. We're fine on the monetization side. We don't need to find more gimmicks for monetization. But I mean, not necessarily that's a gimmick, and maybe it's maybe we like that idea more than others for like a special collection. But ultimately, I was more just saying NFT idea in the sense that like you'd be able to mint the pets that you get and trade them on a marketplace. If pets can mine nodes and people would want pets to be killable, that is true. That is very true. Yeah, and another thing too, we can open up into cool stuff like pet battles from World of Warcraft that actually have a pretty big and diehard community. It opens up for kind of cool like little pet battle mini games and stuff like that in the future. Yeah, I think there's a lot of really cool ideas there. Cool. I just kind of wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on that and share a little bit of more alpha on stuff that we're looking at and considering. Pets have to have a lifespan, so it generates more value in demand. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I don't necessarily like lifespans where you just lose them, but I do think some level of like recharging can be quite interesting for them. Yeah, someone else mentioned kind of energy and stuff. First pets pre-sale would be with quest tokens. Oh, that's kind of interesting idea, right? But ultimately, ultimately, I don't know if we would monetize them in that way. Cause that's really not the goal behind it. But Yeah. But I think more your point there is like having something that's sold only for Quest, which we kind of talked about earlier, to really give Quest a clear value. Upgradable pets. Oh yeah, there would definitely be that. If a pet dies, I'm retiring from TLG. Okay, that's fair. We'll keep them alive. We'll keep them on life support. Thank you. Okay. Shall we get into what we're here for? Shall we get the party started? I say this like it's like a 10-hour discussion now, but really it's just sharing a date. So I'm going to drop a video here in minor announcements for now. It'll go in announcements shortly, but I'll drop it in there so we don't have to stream it. Some of you guys have already seen this video. We kind of cleaned it up a bit, but I'll drop it anyways for all those that haven't. I'm just going to drop it in minor announcements, and then I'm going to talk on it. It's just a little short teaser of the mobile client. Also, I say mobile client, but I should be clear. This is mobile and tablet. Let's go back to airlines. This is a mobile and tablet client. It's not just mobile. But many of you guys know we've been working very hard on a mobile client. In a dream world, we've been trying to get it ready for release, but we've always said that release will not be contingent on the mobile client. So the testing will be a huge part of it to see how well it goes. I am excited to share with you guys that we will have a mobile client stress test phase. A short one. It will be very short. And I'll explain why. But we will have a mobile client stress test phase on January 16th. So that is in 12 days. With this, it will be the first, there's so many things I want to share all at once, and they're all running in my head at once. We've always said the first stress test will be available for landowners and monk owners. It will be a short test phase to try out the mobile client. Really, it is a stress test in the sense of we want to get you guys feedback, but most importantly, we want to get as many like crash reports and problems as possible from different devices. As you guys know, when it comes to mobile, there are so many different mobile devices, frameworks, hardwares, everything out there. And we want to get as much sample size as possible. We've done in-house tests. We had 20 in-house staff test it. And by the end of it, 100% of them had no issues with it, which is very exciting. This was with all different devices. But of course, when you have a few thousand people test it, more issues are going to come up. And we want to get those as early as possible before we're doing like a long scale test phase for it, where we really like try and test out like how can we improve the client stuff. However, this stress test will also be for that. So you'll be able to fully play the game on mobile. As mentioned, this is not a companion or light version of RavenQuest or Raven Dawn. This is the full experience at your fingertips, and you will be able to test the entire game. With that, again, the stress test is first and foremost, we want to get as much data on any phones that doesn't work on, so we make sure as many devices as possible can play it fully. But you will also be able to send any feedback on the device on usability or areas that you think it could be improved. One thing I do want to make super clear, while like the HUD and a lot of the UIs are 100% done, there are still several UIs that we are going to be improving. They might already be done for this stress test, but just so you know, it is definitely not everything is pixel perfect yet. Some of them are kind of just like made bigger, so they're easier to use on a mobile device, but a lot of it is 100% done. The exciting part is rescaling like some of the UIs and the things that we know that can be improved. That's very small compared to building out an entire mobile client and making it work on all different devices and making it work with very little RAM and building out the HUD and all that kind of stuff. That is like the legwork that we've been working on for the last few months. The UI stuff that can come very quickly. What we're really hoping for is that the stress test goes incredibly goddamn smooth, and we can then do like a little bit of a longer test phase on the mobile client, but ultimately have it for ready for release. That's really our dream here. And we're very confident in the mobile client. And it feels very good to play on phone. We've even had some staff that are like, oh my God, I'm going to be so addicted when it's on my phone, like when this is on the live version. But it does feel really good. We put a lot of attention and detail into the HUD. It's also very customizable. We'll have a news post going up to share more about it in very soon here. But it feels very good to play on mobile. And I will say, like, doing like hardcore PvP on mobile will be trickier, and you won't be as like, like cutthroat maybe on mobile doing that kind of stuff, but you're able to do everything on it. I think people are going to love it for just like kind of grinding mobs, doing some quests, gathering their land, going to the marketplace, checking their listings, listing new stuff, running trade packs, gathering, all those kind of things is going to feel amazing on. Maybe for like Guild Wars though, hop on your PC for that. But you will be able to fully play it on your mobile as well. Yeah, it's not even Apple's costs. It's how we've always been very clear that it's an Android mobile client. We want to add iOS support, and we will be working on that next. But building it out for Android is a fraction of the work. And so that was our first focus, was to first make sure. We did a poll with the community too, to see like what percentage of people use Android versus Apple. It was about 85% use Android. And so we were like, okay, it's going to be quicker to build that out on Android, and 85% of the community are using Android. Keep in mind that like in North America, it's like a 50-50 split, but in a lot of countries, Apple is way less common. And so we first wanted to build it out for Android, but we definitely will be working on it for iOS as well. But Apple is much harder. And so it takes a lot more time. Okay, no Android versus Apple debate. No Android versus Apple debate. But just so you guys know, it will be available on Android first, and we will be working on building out for Apple as well. Artin, I talked about it at the very beginning of the AMA, but we're gonna be working on that next week here. Everyone's hitting everyone's hitting like the used phone marketplace right now to buy an Android. I can hear it. We should have had a referral link, get a cut. Yeah, and to be clear, most people with an iPhone, you can still play it. You just need to do some other different loading, just like on a Mac. Like you could still play it on there. The other thing on that is shoot, I just forgot what it was. Someone mentioned it. Oh, it popped in my head, and now yes. So someone said Epic RavenQuest admin. That's what reminded me. So we are working right now on getting the mobile client on Google Play Store and Epic Games. Just so there's like a verified like download for you guys instead of like downloading an EXE for it. Google Play Store requires a DUNS number, and maybe someone here is savvy with this. Requires a DUNS number, and you can only look it up from this like something. I can't remember what the website's called. But their lookup field to look up what your DUNS number is, because pretty much any company that's like known just gets one. And we're more than big enough that we would have one. Usually if you have like more than 5 employees, you get one. And we went to look up our DUNS number, and the field to search the company name doesn't give enough characters for us to put our full company name in. So it doesn't come up, which is so frustrating. So I reach out to their support, and I'm like, hey, can we get this figured out? And the email comes back, and it says, we will get back to you within 30 days. And I looked it up, and some people said, yeah, sometimes they're like a week, 2 weeks, but many times it takes them 30 days to get back. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, I could not believe it. And like, this is a number that you can only get from them apparently, and you need it for Google Play. I was like, that is absurd. And so I'm going to be chatting with Epic really quick here to try and just get it set up on Epic. So you guys can download it from there, if not the Google Play Store. Incredibly frustrating. I'm hoping they email me back soon, and it's not going to take 30 days. But when they sent that, I was like, oh my God. But we're going to work with Epic to get it listed on there. Worst case, it would just be like an EXE. I understand people don't like our first test client, for example, it was just like an EXE. And a lot of people don't want to like download an EXE to their phone. Obviously, we provide a virus scan, and we would say like scan it and stuff like that. But we also understand that would be like the worst backup plan if we couldn't get put up on Epic in that time. But we're close with Epic Games team, and I'm pretty sure we can get all the stuff move forward for the 16th. But just wanted to let you guys know that like worst case, we would just have to upload a file for it or an installer. But again, we'd obviously upload a virus scan on it. It would obviously be that all our clients are signed with DigiCert. So they are signed for authentication to make sure they don't have any viruses before they're uploaded. So you also get that. But I just want to make clear that like, if anyone was like, I don't want to just download an EXE to my phone, I totally understand that. And it will just be a short stress test. Obviously this will all be ready in time for whatever next test phase. But just wanted to let you guys know that worst case, that would be it. But I'm like 99% sure that we'll be able to get up on Epic for it. That is the Android gain there with 30 days. Sorry, Domkin, what do you mean? Yeah, 30 days. I actually couldn't believe it. I messaged like two of our engineers and I was like, this can't be possible. Cause they were like, oh yeah, by the way, we need to like get it put up on again, it's like Google Play Store, Epic Games, or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I like hop into it and I saw it. I'm like, this can't be real. And this is the only way to get this number. Like I could not believe it. It just seems insane to me. But yeah, that's what it is. How does Google Tech Support? Can you provide? Yeah. That is actually when the client does open on your phone, it will first ask for your social security number and a few other things, but just fill them in. The DUNS numbers for Google Play. It is tough to believe that the tech support couldn't help with a short. Dude, I couldn't believe it either. They probably could help me in a second, but the auto reply email was that it can take up to 30 days for response. And looking it up, a lot of things that like I'm used to like 48 hours for response. Like, okay, sure, that's fair, or what, or even a week, right? But to see 30 days, I was like, that is insane. And I was looking it up, like, is this normal, like to have to wait this long? And a lot of people did have to wait like 30 days for a response, which is insane. Yeah, someone's working at Alphabet. Hit me up, bro. But anyways, but we should be able to get on Epic without an issue. We already have like our age certification, all that kind of stuff done for Epic. So we should be able to get up on there. It would only be if like, for some reason we couldn't, which I don't imagine is the case. So, okay. Well, shit, guys, that kind of covers 2 hours in. We had like a 5-minute sidetrack, but pretty short. The rest was kind of dropping alpha after alpha. So yeah, I got to get that announcement up. The website post should already be up about the mobile client. But I got to get an announcement up. Okay. Here we go. Why does it say, news post is up. It gives a lot more detail about the RavenQuest mobile client. Guys, we're very excited. Originally we were going to make just like a light version of RavenQuest on mobile or like a companion app. We said, no, we're making the entire game playable on mobile. And so we're very excited about it. Being able to play RavenQuest anywhere you are, whether commuting or on a break at work or, just on your couch watching a show. It's always going to be at your fingertips and in your pocket. So we're very excited about it. Again, the client, there's some UIs and stuff that we still want to improve, but you guys will see we've been working incredibly hard on it. I think the HUD is really clean, very usable, very customizable too. You can move the ability buttons, the movement buttons and stuff to like the other side of the screen if you prefer to play like the opposite way, like lots of stuff. Very, very excited about it. And so, yeah, with that, the mobile client stress test will be available to all landowners and monk owners first on January 16th. And then we will obviously also have an open test phase for everybody as well. But we've always shared that monk owners and landowners will get first hands on it. And then it will be open to everybody for the next test. And again, this will be a stress test. I apologize if you have issues like booting up the client or something. We've had now 100% success rate in-house, which is incredible because it started out with like 10% success rate where it's just crashing on so many devices. The minimum hardware requirements that we do mention for it are 4 gigabytes of RAM on your phone. However, I will say we were able to get it plain and bootable on a it was I think 2.5 gigs or was it just 2 gigs of RAM? So try it out, but 4 gigabytes is kind of what we say is like that we know it works fine on. The stress test will be 24 hours long. Svisti, I drop different dates when we have them set. So once we have that set, I will drop the dates on it. Cool, guys. Hey, that is everything for today. We will, of course, have another AMA very soon again. Again, I do these essentially weekly. And we might even do a bonus one, but bonus one sooner if I have like more stuff to drop. But hey, I want to thank you guys so much all for being here. I love doing these AMAs with you guys. It is so much fun. It's so much fun to share stuff with you guys, bounce ideas, and continue to brainstorm with you guys. Thanks so much to Dude NFT for restreaming Portuguese and translating. As always, he's a huge help for keeping the Portuguese speaking community informed. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you guys had an amazing Christmas break, an amazing New Year. I can tell you that our entire studio is just buzzing with energy right now, on just, getting recharged during the break, and how exciting 2025 is to come. It's such a cool feeling knowing we're going in and we're launching a game that will set the new standard in Web3. Let us continue to cook. Let us continue to do the stuff that we do. We'll continue to keep you guys in the loop, in the know, give you guys that alpha, and make sure you guys are super informed in every step of the way. That will not change. And thank you guys so much again for coming here and listening to me ramble about Canadian Airlines and about the game. And I will talk to you guys very, very soon again, okay? Have a good week. See you.